Welcome back, dear traders. Our analysts are ready to share a red-hot market review with you. Despite the optimistic pre-market, Wall Street closed in the red yesterday. The major stock indexes seem to suggest buying opportunities in the pre-market, but all of them closed with losses. The Dow Jones dipped 0.7%, both the Nasdaq and the S&P500 shed 0.8%. The New York pre-market feels like a déjà vu as the benchmark stock indexes are trading higher. The S&P is expected to trade in the intraday corridor between 3,810 and 3,920 points. Investors are aware that optimism in the pre-market does not mean that the market will close with gains. The reason behind yesterday's decline was the news by Bloomberg. Apple unveiled its plans to decrease employment and to cut expenses next year as the company is braced for an economic downturn. Earlier, several top American companies, including Meta, Tesla, and Goldman Sachs, also warned about future layoffs. In this context, Apple shares dropped to 2.1% to $147. 9 out of 11 main sectors included in the S&P lost in value, in particular healthcare and utility services. The energy sector is the best performer. Today, futures on Wall Street stock indexes are trading lower alongside companies with a mega capitalization. As for the economic calendar, new home construction in the United States slumped to the lowest level in 9 months in June. Besides, building permits also went down, thus proving that the housing market is cooling down. Building permits, which indicates further trends in the construction sector, fell 0.6% to 1.685 million units in June on year, the lowest reading since September 2021. Analysts had projected a decline to 1.65 million. Building permits have been going down for the third month in a row. As for corporate earnings reports, IBM reported higher than expected quarterly revenue, but warned about a future loss of about $3.5 billion due to the overvalued US dollar. In light of the report, IBM shares plunged 5.8% but managed to offset some losses in the pre-market. Today, Johnson & Johnson's shares fell 0.4% after the pharmaceutical giant had downgraded its forecast for annual profits amid the firm US dollar. The company's net profit shrank to $4.81 billion, or $1.80 per share in the second quarter. The US dollar index has been trading lower for 3 days straight. Today, it dipped below 107 points. The intraday corridor for the index is defined between 106.20 and 106.90. Traders are speculating about the pace of the nearest rate hike by the Federal Reserve. Most traders reckon that the central bank will raise the federal funds rate by 75 basis points, not by a percentage point. Nevertheless, the US dollar remains not far away from its 20-year peaks on the back of a soaring inflation and recession fears. This week, market participants are alert to policy decisions of other central banks, the ECB and the Bank of Japan. The US dollar is widely expected to retain its strength, but the euro will also come under the spotlight in the nearest days. The euro has increased by 1% to trade at 1.02 against the US dollar, so the euro has jumped to its highest in 2 weeks. The euro owes its strength to the news that the ECB will consider a sharper rate hike by 50 basis points on Thursday. The ECB is likely to begin their cycle of rate hikes by the first time in more than a decade. The consensus suggests that the first rate hike of 25 basis points. Nevertheless, more analysts predict an increase by 50 basis points. The USD CAD pair opened the week with a loonies advance against its American rival. The currency pair is now trading at about 1.2927. The pair is expected to hold in the corridor between 1.2890 and 1.2980. The Canadian dollar finds support from a stunning rally of oil prices. Futures on crude oil rallied 5% on Monday amid expectations that some major oil exporters from the Middle East would ramp up the oil output rates. Following Joe Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia, a senior advisor of the U.S. State Department on Energy Security said that there are extra capacities to expand oil output rates. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's ministers insisted that policy decisions will be adjusted to the market dynamic and the outcome of the OPEC Plus summit on August 3. Russian Gazprom informed its European clients that it cannot guarantee gas supplies under emergency circumstances. Today, oil prices halted their rally and retreated moderately. Brent crude shed 0.8% to trade at $105.36 a barrel. The crypto market is making cautious efforts to recover. Digital tokens are testing key resistance levels, but the bulls are not able to push the prices up. On a Monday, Bitcoin rebounded to 22,800, but the crypto still lacks the bullish momentum to surpass this level. Today, the flagship cryptocurrency is hovering at around 22,175. Aiming to break $22,800 and $23,200 shortly after. If the token fails to settle above $22,000, it will retreat back towards $19,000 or $22,000. Judging by some factors, the New York session today is going to be optimistic for stocks and risky assets. Nevertheless, the Apple case reminds us that there is always a fly in the ointment. We wish you profitable trades and see you online tomorrow.